In the mid-50s, General Motors Diesel of Canada built 4 experimental GMDH1 diesel hydraulic switchers, of which maybe 3 survive. In no small part due to their unique, perhaps automotive styling, the GMDH1 and its 3-axle sibling, the GMDH3, have been on my build list forever, but until recently, I did not believe I could make a proper motorized model with official Lego motors. Short hood, height, and length locomotives have an issue where conventional barrel-shaped motors need to turn a corner in order to power bogies through a pivot, and the GMDH1 clearly does not have the space for such a setup, perhaps even with the old 9-volt geared motors. Train motors don't work either because of incorrect wheel spacing and excessive height, though I would not really want that performance profile anyway. I knew of the big angular motors in the other Spike sets, but I did not know of the small version in the Spike Essentials until recently. These have an output on the side like their larger siblings, but comparable or less volume than traditional PF-PUMs. When I discovered these motors, I initially wanted to build something smaller than the Model 40, but I could not find a suitable prototype, and I ended up giving the GMDH1 another try. The completed model measures 30 by 10 studs and uses almost 700 parts, similar to other models of the same size, like the B8. It weighs 450 grams and contains 100% official Lego parts, including the wheels, making it a real purist build. I had considerable difficulty modeling some of the features, most notably the sloped windows around the cab and the rounded bumps on the hood. I think the latter could still be better. The 2 small angular motors drive all 4 axles with 1-to-1 gearing. The moderate weight of the engine, despite the light weight of the motors and battery box, allow it to pull 140 grams, albeit very slowly. Based on the speed computer, as Philo doesn't have any data, these motors top out at maybe just over 100 RPM. Still, strong low-speed torque combined with sufficiently granular speed control works well for a shunter, just like the slow drivetrain in the A6B. Implementing a control scheme actually turned into a big deal, though I originally intended to run a powered-up hub with the powered-up app, like with my other PU builds. I made sure that the Spike motors worked in this setup, which they do, strangely reporting a top speed of 125 instead of 100. Ultimately, I could not use the PU hub due to connector placement, but the connector placement on the Spike Essentials hub synergized perfectly with the build. But the Spike app only runs on laptops and iPads, neither of which I want to bring to control trains. Thus, I started looking at third-party options, specifically Pybricks, but that expects code to run directly on the hub. As such, it does not include a GUI for direct control, and even then, the web app does not appear to work on mobile. However, Pybricks does provide a mechanism for communicating with the powered up remote. I ended up making a control scheme similar to my smooth acceleration program for powered up. Holding plus or minus increases or decreases speed, and releasing said button sets it. Reducing speed to 0 stops the motors until another plus or minus press, ensuring the locomotive comes to a full stop. I often had trouble putting the powered up sliders on exactly 0. Hitting the red button also triggers an immediate full stop. Your mileage may vary, but I also had a much easier time developing in written code than in powered up blocks. Heck, I still don't know how to make a return to 0 button in powered up. Pybricks also has the ability to save programs and run them on multiple hubs of different types, so I could control my other PU trains the same way. Pybricks does require custom firmware, but the download process is quick and reversible. Annoyingly, the orientation of the battery box puts the power button in a very poor spot. Accessing it requires removing the roof and a side. Even then, I can't see the status LED, and the packed wiring prevents me from lifting the battery box easily. Still, I think this model greatly leverages the properties of the Spike Essential parts. And on that note, this is the end of the video. Please consider subscribing if you like what we do, and have a nice day.